Hi, this is Tim from fititmidlife.com. Today, I've got the brand new Nike Metcon 6 Matt Fraser edition. How does it compare to the Nike Metcon 5? That's what we're going to talk about, so stick around. All right, here we have the Nike Metcon 6 Matt Fraser edition. So this is a brand new shoe. Let's talk through some of the basic features first. Let's start with the outsole. So as you can see, very flat, a lot of contact area, all rubber, sticky rubber up front, firmer rubber in the heel, and that is noted on the side of the shoe as well. So sticky rubber and firmer rubber in the heel. Why firm in the heel? Well, for lifting weights and things like that. You don't want your foot sinking into a lot of cushiony foam and rubber when you're squatting, Olympic lifts and things like that. Stickier rubber up front because you want traction and grip, and the very flat outsole with the maximum contact area should likely provide that. You also notice there's flex grooves, so that helps with forefoot flexibility. Forefoot flexibility in this shoe is quite good because it is a cross trainer. So moving up the side, you can see that the outsole, that all rubber outsole, actually wraps up around the midfoot. So that is something called the rope wrap. And the idea is that when you're climbing a rope, you would be able to use that area to securely grip the rope without having the rope tear up the upper of the shoe, right? Because this rubber part is very tough, and it's also got that sort of tread pattern there. The rope wrap as a design element is also present on the other side of the shoe, although of course you're not gripping a rope necessarily on the outside, but it's there and looks quite nice. You also see the diamond shape to the heel from here, so there's a little extra width on the heel. And that of course helps for lateral stability side to side when lifting weights and things like that. Let's look at the heel. You can see we've got this sharp edge on this TPU piece, TPU being thermoplastic. The idea there is that if you're doing handstand push-ups, this provides minimal drag against the wall because of that knife edge on it. The heel otherwise is pretty standard. There's a heel cup in here that comes up to right about where my thumbs are, right? So it's fairly rigid, fairly stable. And one thing about these shoes, though, the collar, like this part of the shoe just doesn't come up very high. And that's kind of interesting because, as we'll see shortly here, there are hyperlifts that come with the shoe that you can put inside that give you more heel-to-toe raise. So let's look at one of those next. Here's the hyperlift. So it's just a simple wedge that you place inside the shoe. It gives you 8 millimeters of additional heel-to-toe drop. Why more heel-to-toe drop? Well, heel raise is helpful in motions that require squatting down, right? Thrusters, squats, any exercise where the bar starts on the floor really could benefit. So how does this hyperlift help? Well, you place this inside the shoe under this removable midsole, and you can see where that piece then provides the additional heel raise, right? You're going from that to that. So that's the idea. Now, why is the low collar kind of an issue with this? Well, with the Hyperlift out, I don't get any heel slippage in these shoes. With the Hyperlift in, which then raises your heel up in the shoe, for me in particular, I get heel slippage with the shoe. So I tend to use these without the Hyperlift. But other people use them and don't complain, and it's not unusable for me. It just feels it makes the feel of the shoe feel different, and I do get heel slippage when I have the Hyperlift in. So let's talk about the drop-in midsole. So this is a dual density material made with two different kinds of foam. So it is very cushioned, very squishy up here in the front and in the back. This heel is much firmer material, so you can see clearly two different kinds of materials there. By the way, there's those flex grooves up front in the forefoot too. So stable in the heel for lifting heavy weights, more cushioned up front for jumping, jump rope, sprinting, running on your toes, forefoot striking, and all that kind of thing. And so that is the midsole. As we move around the shoe, let's now look at the upper. So the upper is basically, all of this part here. We've got a new mesh material here, so you can clearly, easily see my fingers through this. So this is very meshy, right? A lot of breathability. The tongue, at first glance, looks to be the same kind of material. However, you'll notice the tongue, which is nicely padded, not too much, not too little. It's not as breathable as the rest of the upper because there's a second layer of cloth on the inside there, but it looks consistent. The tongue is it's middle of the road, right? It's not super padded. It's not super thin either, like was on the Metcon 4, but it's not overly padded either. It's nice middle of the road. I think it's good. Laces, we've got regular laces. You'll notice that Nike's using Flywire. So that's these little, almost look like threads that are wrapped around each of the laces. What are those? Well, you can see those run through the inside of the shoe. And when you tighten up the laces, that tightens up the Flywire, which kind of better supports your foot, almost like a lightweight midfoot strap in a way, really. So that is the Nike Metcon 6 Matt Fraser edition. Okay, so now let's compare the Nike Metcon 6 Matt Fraser to the Nike Metcon 5 Matt Fraser. So this is the shoe that came out in June of 2019. And let's just take a look and see what's new, what's different, and what's the same. So let's start by looking at the outsole. And you'll notice that the outsole looks very similar, at least in the functional aspects of it. So both all rubber, same tread pattern. You've got those flex grooves. You've got the firmer rubber in the heel, the stickier rubber up front. The key difference is with the Metcon 5 Matt Fraser, they went translucent on the sole. You can see his signature there, and this is a really cool feature. So this got a lot of compliments when I used to wear this shoe around. It did get yellow over time though, so you'll notice like when I first got it, it looked all like this, like very clear, but it kind of yellowed with wear, so looks a little less impressive now. But still, I thought that was kind of a cool design element. Of course, in the Metcon 6 Matt Fraser, just a plain old black rubber sole with a red swoosh. I mean, what can you say about that, right? It's just a plain regular sole. You'll also notice on the heel, so we've gone from 3 bullseyes to 4. So this would reflect Matt Fraser's additional CrossFit Games win that has since occurred since the last shoe. And you'll notice that whereas the heel counter on last year's shoe was just plain TPU black, this is chrome appearance on the heel clip. Now this came with a sticker attached that said warning. Chrome will flake off with use, or something to that effect. And I've seen that on numerous Metcon 5s. So this is a regular 5. You can see like the finish comes off the TPU piece. And this one's used, not a ton, but you can see that's definitely going to wear off if you wear these. But, it's a shoe. You buy it. They wear out, you buy another shoe. That's the way it works. Looking around the top, or the upper, you can see laces, fly wire on both. But, the radical difference would be the upper, of course. So the 2019 Metcon 5 has not really a mesh upper. It's solid, double layer material. This, of course, vastly different, being a highly breathable mesh. So big difference in the upper. The styling on these Nike Metcon 5 looks very good. I like the red sort of racing stripe, which went all the way through the outsole. But this one's interesting too. So it's got some elements of the red still, and it's got kind of the almost reflective looking highlights and whatnot on the shoe and a subdued swoosh. So I think this one looks pretty good as well. Let's see what else. Overall, I mean, you can see that the shape and the basic features are pretty much the same, right? I mean, this really, what's the major difference with the Metcon 6? Well, it's the mesh upper, and then really you'll notice in the upper piece here, it kind of goes straight up vertically, whereas in last year's shoe, it went diagonal, so instead of going straight up. Really, those are the only identifiable differences that I can see here, because they're shaped the same, they fit the same. If we pull out the removable midsole, this is the removable midsole from the Metcon 5 Matt Fraser. Dual density material, yes, it's different colors, but just it's the same material. It's the same amount of firmness in the heel and very cushioned up front. And you can see the same basic layout to the drop-in midsole. So then that probably raises the question, well, what's the heel-to-toe drop on the Metcon 6? So I don't know, because I don't have access to the official information on the Metcon 6. But, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it's the same 4mm heel-to-toe drop as the Metcon 5, because the outsole is the same, the midsole is basically the same. And, it can't possibly be different at this point, I would say. So 4mm heel-to-toe drop. By the way, this shoe weighs 13.5 ounces. This is a men's size 10.5. This weighs 13.8 ounces. This is a men's size 11. So in regards to sizing, I always go half size up on the Metcon 5. Because I feel like it's a little tight in the foot, and that's how I figured that out. So I bought these in 11. It's a little tight in the toes, especially at the end of the day, right? Your feet swell over the course of the day. This is a 10.5. Well, why did I go half size down? Well, because I didn't have a whole lot of options for getting this shoe. This was the only size I could get that was in the ballpark. Still fits me, but it's definitely tight. Surprisingly, the length's not bad. It's the width, it is tight for sure. And really, what I recommend in the Metcon 5, this is an 11.5, and this is the best fit for me. So it gives me that little bit of extra width up front. All right, so that was our review of the Nike Metcon 6 Matt Fraser edition. This shoe shares a lot in common with the Metcon 5, but there are some changes as well, such as the very breathable mesh upper and some other minor details on the styling that you'll notice. The Matt Fraser edition is a good-looking shoe with some call-outs to Matt's career in CrossFit. This shoe is sized like the Metcon 5, and you should probably consider going a half size up to get extra width up in the toe area, as I recommended with the Metcon 5. So that was our review. If you like this, please subscribe. We post new shoe reviews regularly. Thank you. Have a good day.